Good morning, everybody. Let's start with this information session. So before starting, please let me recall all of you that we are going to record this session because it will be available later in our website. I will give you hints how to reach this website. So if you participate during this session, either asking or at any moment, please be aware that you might be recorded, okay? So first of all, welcome. My name is Oscar Romero. I'm the Vice Dean of Postgraduate Studies, and today we are going to give this information session about the Master in Innovation and Research in Informatics that we call MIRI by its acronym. Basically, the session for today is a brief introduction about our faculty. Then I will go in depth about our master and the 4 specializations we are offering for inside this master, and then general information about how to enroll and grants information related to it. So let's start briefly with the faculty. So the Faculty of Informatics belongs to UPC, which stands for Universitat Politècnica Catalunya. This is one of the highest, the largest public universities in Spain and also in south of Europe. It has more than 6,000 bachelor and master students and quite a large amount of PhD students because, as I will present later, it's a research-oriented institution, and that is the reason we have this master in the faculty. But UPC is a public institution. As such, we follow the UPC values, which are social responsibility, sustainability, equal opportunities, and cooperation and solidarity. This is also important because sometimes you ask if we have any other criteria related to the admission, related to age or any other aspect, and the answer is no, we don't consider these kind of aspects because as a public institution, as you can see here, we believe in equal opportunities and social responsibility. Inside UPC, there is FIP. FIP stands for Facultat d'Informàtica de Barcelona, and it's the reference faculty institution inside the university for any studies related with computer science. It's a relatively young institution because, as any other computer science faculty, was born around the 70s, starting at the end of the 70s, the first academic year. So we will do the 50 years in the next couple of years or so it's not that far away, so next year. Mm-hmm. But during this period, the faculty has become the reference institution in computer science in the south of Europe. We have been the leading technical engineering faculty establishing the curriculums in the computer science fields, and we still are the reference faculty in Spain and also in the south of Europe. Where we are in one of the ends of Barcelona. You can see it here, for those of you not familiar with the campus. This is called Campus North, and here you have all the information just to contact us. Besides our general website, we have the information to contact us if you have any question about our masters, and the usual social network links to our profiles in the social networks. So I will not go very much in detail with this FIP. Why? Because we have a general presentation that we do about all of our masters, and there I go pretty well in detail about the excellence of our faculty, so I will refer there. Our point that I will just summarize here is that it sits among the top computer science schools in Europe. It's well recognized because of the lecturers and the outcomes that our students receive. Our alumni are spread all over the world in the top universities and companies, so this shows the excellence of our faculty, and our professionals that we produce are highly recognized everywhere, you know. Anyhow, as I said, there are more details about the faculty. If you are not familiar with the faculty, please go to this website. This is our main website for the masters for people who do not know our faculty, right? Here we promote all of them. So if you go there, you will find the presentation and the video for the general information session that it's recorded like this one. And at the beginning of that video and at the beginning of these slides, whatever you prefer, you will find all the information about the FIP and its excellence and why it's nowadays a reference institution in Europe. What I will go and do more in detail today is to focus on MIRI. This is the main objective. So I will focus on the 4 specializations, but briefly first start with the overall idea of MIRI. MIRI is a master thought for people that want to do research in the fields that we propose, right? So it's a very rigorous master that goes in depth in 4 aspects. advanced computing, computer graphics and virtual reality, computer networks and distributed systems, or high-performance computing. You need to choose when you apply which is your field of interest, okay, from the very beginning. MIRI is one of our oldest masters, and as such, because as I said, we are a very research-oriented faculty and university, so research is a very basic objective of our lecturers, so this is the master associated to the research done in the faculty. And besides that, we have external organizations that they evaluate our masters. We do so for MIRI as well. Here you have the 2 accreditations that we received. These are external entities, one from Catalonia, which is called ACU, one from Europe, ICUAIN, and both of them give you different kind of labels. Since MIRI is taught in English and it's an international master by design, that's why we also have this international accreditation by ICUAIN that also promotes our excellence. So the outcome of these accreditations, and you have it in our website, is that we got the maximum level of quality from both of them, showing that our masters, and specifically MIRI, has a very high quality lecturers. The outcomes and what we are teaching is relevant and top-notch to these fields. And finally, the services that we provide to the students are also qualified as excellent. So this is important for us because being a public university, it's important for transparency that external institutions evaluate our degrees. As I said, MIRI is taught in English. It means that when applying to MIRI, you need to have a B2 accreditation of English. If you don't have it yet, you can still apply to MIRI, but then you need to provide evidence that you have booked a slot to take the exam in the next weeks or month, okay? In any case, before starting the master, this certificate must be there, and you need to provide it. So you can have a conditional acceptance while you don't have the certificate and the B2 level, but in any case, before starting the master, this accreditation must be there. Being a research master is a 2 years master. This is quite usual in research-oriented masters, so 120 ECTS, and it's divided in 4 main blocks. So we have 30 common compulsory ECTS that, regardless of the specialization you choose, you are going to take. Then there are 48 specialization ECTS. This depends on your specialization, of course. Then 12 electives that are general. These are not specific of the specialization, and 30 of the master thesis. The master thesis is pretty large, it's 1 whole semester, and this is something quite deep in the DNA of the faculty. Our master theses are pretty large. We are expecting here some research and interesting work that shows the learning outcomes you took during the master. So the 4 specializations have different links that you can find here. Let me just show you how to navigate this website. Let me take the first one, and then I will take advantage of it. So this is the website that I was telling you that we use for promoting our master studies. So basically now in the MIRI Advanced Computing, but if you go to the home of this website, you will find here, besides all our other masters, the 4 specializations by themselves, okay? So here we have Advanced Computing, High Performance, Computer Networks, and Graphics, okay? So just taking any of them, for example, Advanced Computing takes you to the website, to the link that I showed you before. Here you have the general information that I told you, the link to the video and the slides, okay? And then after today, we will put here the specific presentation that we are recording right now with each slides, okay? Here you have some general information, but what I'm going to go for is the curriculum, so you see what I was meaning. So there are mandatory courses. Some of them are common. For example, the AMM, CPDS, SMD, and TMIRI, this one here, and the seminar activities, you will do it regardless of the specialization. You will see that all the specializations have them. What is the objective of these common modules? These modules teach you how to do good research. If you realize, for example, the first one is how to use statistical modeling to design proper experiments. Of course, when you are doing research, experiments is basic, right? Advanced methods, mathematical models and algorithmic methods to deploy advanced kind of experiments. Techniques to follow the research, how research is developed, what kind of tasks you need to do as a researcher, how to read papers, how to write papers, all these tasks are also developed here. Then we have another one which is about concurrence, parallelism, and distributed systems, because regardless of the specialization you take, nowadays distribution and parallelism is a must. All the fields are going in this direction, so we have a specific module to introduce all our students in this field. And finally, the seminar activities. This is a course of 6 ECTS that is spread all over the master, whose objective is basically to introduce you in very new and seminars that we organize on topics that are novel and that are not part of the syllabus or the curriculum of the master itself. So this is our way just to keep it up with research tasks, research novel ideas, and so on for these kind of students. Okay? The other 4 mandatory courses that you have here depend on your specialization. For example, in advanced computing, we have randomized algorithms, advanced data structures, computational complexity, and combinatorial problem solving. The rest, you have here 4 elective courses that depend on your specialization. So depending on your specialization, you will need to have 4 specialization courses and 2 general ones that is not specific of your specialization. Can be courses from the other specializations, courses from other masters. It can be working in a company, doing an internship in a company. There are a lot of options for this elective here. Okay. Finally, the last semester is the master thesis. So for any of the boxes that you have here, if you click in the course, it will take you to the syllabus. This is important. Please check in detail what you are going to learn in these courses. You have the objectives and the contents that is taught in each of these courses. Okay. So you have a lot of information just to understand what you are going to learn and what are the outcomes that you are going to obtain as a student of this master. Okay. So all these links that you have here in this presentation will take you to one of these websites. I will explain now in detail the curriculum of each of them, but just to let you know that you have the links here. And finally, this master, as I said, can recognize either internships or a professional experience that you have during your studies as elective ECTS. So these 12 elective ECTS could be just done with an internship in a company, in a research institution, or simply with a job contract. Finally, if your profile may lack some expertise in the background required for any of the specializations, we may ask you to take some complementary courses. What is a complementary course? Is a course from the bachelor that you need to take in order to start the master. So typically, this is just 1 or 2 courses, not that many, and typically you need to do it during your first semester here. So you already start the master, you take your complementary courses, and in parallel we allow you to take the initial courses of the master as well, so it's done kind of parallel. But the thing is that for whatever reason you fail a complementary course during the semester, you are forced to re-enroll again and finish it as soon as possible, because it's foundations, basic information or basic knowledge that you are missing for the master. The complementary courses go on top of the 120 ECTS. This is important also to know. Okay, so you need to go above the 120.
And can I have a question about the English? Because what if the bachelor was also done in English? Then do we need a certificate for that?
I will just open a round of questions at the end, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I forgot to say it, indeed. So at the end of the presentation, we will open the chat, so you will be able to write your questions there, and I will answer all of them.
Okay. Okay.
So before going on, I want to just discuss with you this aspect, because MIRI is a research-oriented program, so it means that research and innovation is key in the faculty and the UPC, and I just wanted to highlight some aspects here. For example, UPC is the top university obtaining funds from the European Union in research projects like H2020. We also are leading in startups, spin-offs, innovation, and technology transfer. It means that many of our students, or even lecturers, generate spin-offs and startups from their knowledge and their research. And also, from the research perspective, we even have a development cooperation institution. This is not typical in technological universities, but indeed this center of UPC is quite old. And this is also to conduct projects with developing countries, many of them in the research aspect. So it's important that in a master like MIRI, while you are doing the studies, you also take your time to do some research during the master. And you will see, I will explain in a few minutes, that each of the specializations have around certain research groups that are usually participating in this master that you may want to consider. So how research is considered in the master for the student? You can claim the elective credits that I mentioned before. You can do up to 12 ECTS doing what we call Introduction to Research. This is a course that we have in place. You take this course, you get the ECTS related to it, and basically you can claim this ECTS afterward, or also as an internship in a research center. This is also possible. Then you do the internship, for example, in the Barcelona Supercomputing Center, you do your work there, and then you can claim research credits from there. This is an aspect that I wanted to highlight, as I said, because basically our teaching staff, all of them are researchers with wide experience, and you will see that they are very much related to research institutions, companies, so the research that is done here is pretty applied. That's why, as a result, we have a lot of startups and spin-offs resulting from our studies. So let me start now with each of the specializations. I will start with advanced computing. This is the specialization where with programming techniques, you try to deal with complex problems that from a complexity computational theory, they are NP-complete or even more difficult. So they are not an easy way to write an algorithm that finds a solution. So it's a way to exploit or explore, better say, the limitations of computational problems. How to write efficient algorithms for problems that cannot be solved with a usual algorithm. Okay, so here you will learn cutting-edge solutions, and where to apply nowadays this kind of knowledge. Well, it's everywhere, right? So if you think of the problem, for example, of any logistics company like DHL that lands a plane in the airport of Barcelona, and they need to distribute these goods among all the people who bought whatever from Amazon, let's say. So you need to just dynamically create a route that goes through all these places as soon as possible, right? So the shorter the path, the better. So how to do this? Typically with graph theory and graph algorithms, just to find the most optimal path. And also because if you do it in a proper way and your simulation is good, you will be able to tell the users, okay, I will be there between 12 and 12:30 and not during the morning or during the afternoon. That for sure is quite annoying if you already experienced that, right? So there are ways with advanced computing to already provide novelty solutions to day-by-day problems. And these applications may apply to very large data sets, like for example in social networks or in machine learning and data mining. By default, many of the algorithms behind machine learning are very complex in front of large data sets, so there is room to optimize them. Human language processing, anything related with the cloud and distribution also requires distributed algorithms that are complex to design. Game theory, VLSI design, etc., etc. There are many applications of this kind of limitations of NP hard problems that we find in our day-by-day. So the research groups that we have around the faculty that participate strongly in this specialization are the 4 ones that you have here. There are others, and there are many others that you may want to be interested in. In the general presentation, you will find all the research groups of UPC, and you will see that there are like 3 pages of research groups. So whatever you can think of, there will be a research group tackling it. But if you check the name of these groups, you will see that it's the typical usual fields where NP hard problems appear, like computational biology, language and speech recognition, anything related with logics, right? Or whatever is related with the complexity theory in general, from a more theoretical point of view. Where our alumni are working after taking this specialization, many of them go to academy, either in local or international universities. Many of them also go to big tech companies, because many of these people who are able to craft very complex algorithms are needed in these very large organizations. Also in anything related with CAD, for example, Semidynamics is a company that was created from UPC that right now is a very large company, and they are quite successful. Or for example, all the field of data science, artificial intelligence, there we need to run very complex algorithms on top of very large data sets whenever facing big data. So some example of master theses that were conducted, and I will put a lot of emphasis on the master thesis because, as I told you, the master thesis is 30 CTS. We're expecting something big, something research-oriented. So here you have two different kind of objectives. The first one is by Josep Sanchez, was trying to model techniques in business process management that, in words, you could say how your processes in your company work, and automatically it would be created in a fully compliant BPM documentation, right? So how from language generate automatically artifacts that represent a process in a way that you can then implement it in your company and monitor it, importantly, right? So this novel way of having an interface, a natural language interface for processes, resulted in a patent, resulted in a spin-off. Process Talks is another one that was created from previous students, and with a PhD, because Josep in the end did the PhD following this branch, with top publications in top venues. The other one is more theoretical, not that applied, resulting in a spin-off, even if the first one nevertheless had a PhD. This one is more about providing algorithms to enumerate bitriangles in large bipartite networks. This is an interesting algorithm just to find relationships between elements. Whenever you have a triangle, it means that if you have two disjoint sets of things and you find triangles, it means that you are finding relationships between them, right? It's a way just to get insights from two populations. And this master thesis by Juan Pablo was already published as a publication directly, and then there is a software framework that is published and can be used as open source in these links that you have here. The second one that I'm going to discuss is computer graphics and virtual reality. This is, of course, as the name says, the state of the art in computer graphics. Many times graphics are misunderstood as video games, and this is not only video games. Graphics are used nowadays in many other fields, typically in simulation, or what is very popular today, digital twins, or how you can just create a digital twin of anything, and this anything could be a building, a body system, or health simulations, whatever. So the thing is that whenever you have this simulation in 3D, people may understand easier what are the consequences of any action, right? And of course, if you stretch this, at the end what you get is virtual reality, which is this full immersive computer graphics experience in 3D. So in our master, we are basically having a lot of companies and research groups participating, because as I said, this is very applied nowadays. As you see, there are video game companies, of course, but there are a lot of people who went to universities, research centers, or, of course, companies that are using graphics for innovative aspects. Here you have the topics that are covered in our research groups. So you have from regular advanced 3D graphics to any kind of modeling of complex systems, for example, right? And two examples of master theses. The first one is very relevant because if you remember in 2020, when we have the pandemic, that we were all at home and we could not travel, something that was very trendy was how to experience a museum or any cultural heritage event or organization from home. So here there were a lot of examples or initiatives to bring 3D in order to just do a walk in a museum, or in this case, just to explore cultural heritage monuments. And this is a work by Arnau in 2021, right at that moment, that was published in a conference, especially showing how you could use these immersive aspects to just show a person sitting at home whatever relevant museum or milestone, right? The second one is more about simulating complex systems. This is a visualization of ensembles of molecular simulation trajectories. There are a lot of work in the world of biomedicine, biosciences in general, and using graphics for that. And it's just a way to show in a very graphic way what is happening during your simulation. This master thesis by David was published in a top journal in this aspect, in a completely different field, also using graphics. The next one is computer networks and distributed systems. Again, following the idea of advanced computing, what we are trying here is whenever you have a big problem, you can tackle it in several ways, no? On the one hand, you can use software algorithms, right? On the other one, you can use just more muscle, a distributed system. So you can put several computers working in parallel just to achieve something larger. So here we cover the both aspects because the computer networks is the underlying layer where you can create distributed systems, because you need a computer network, you need networks first, and you need to understand protocols and develop smarter protocols like the 5G or the 6G that are so popular nowadays, right? So where on top of that you can build your distributed system, and this includes cloud computing, cloud services, IoT systems. When you perform any kind of big data analytics in the cloud, you in the end are running a distributed system, and so on and so forth. So the opportunities here are basically with the research groups that you can find here. We have groups that are more into the networks part, or in the, this would be these two, the broadband communication systems and the statistical analysis of networks and systems. And then you have more on top of that, you know, in the higher upper level, distributed system groups and also the high performance computing. So theses that you can create in this aspect are, I chose two that are in the two levels that I was mentioning before. One more at about of the network level, how to use, for example, blockchain to guarantee secure distributed clusters. And this is basically the concurrence of two hot topics nowadays, like security on top of distributed systems and blockchain. This is about Pau Marcet. And the second one, about Pau Ferrer, is this calibration of low-cost air pollutant sensors using machine learning techniques. What he did is playing IoT, right? You have a lot of devices distributed in an area. All of them are just measuring pollution, and then each of them are doing part of the processing isolatedly, and then they share between them this information to get higher insights after communicating to each other. This is what nowadays is very popular, like fog computing, distributed computing, call it whatever, it goes in this sense. The last one is high performance computing. This is when a distributed system that you built at your company is not enough. When there are problems that not even the cloud services by Google or Microsoft could give you enough hardware power to tackle certain problems. And this is what the high performance computing specialization does, is to move to the last level of complexity, which is the high performance computing, the supercomputers, right? So as you can imagine, this is very related with the Barcelona Supercomputing Center, which is a center of research that is associated to UPC. It sits just in the campus. They are right here. And many of the students that participate in this master, in this specialization, work there or any other high-performance computing facilities. So basically, high-performance computer is needed when you reach a level of complexity that a distributed system is not enough. So for example, just finding where to drill for oil and gas, research lab, for example, for the genome project, or cancer simulations, or things that are especially complex, or the very last large language models, or any of these last popular artificial intelligence initiatives that require a lot of computing, right? So these are the research groups that we have in this specialization. Some of them also participate in the previous one, the CNDS, the one on distributed systems. And basically here, if you take this, is you're just going the line of future processors, like RISC-V, which is the European processor that BSc is participating, and there is companies here in Barcelona that are developing these European chips, right? Also developing supercomputing applications that require a lot of hardware, like weather prediction, crash tests, bioinformatics, genomics, this kind of stuff. And also, in the end, whatever that requires very specific programming on top of very complex infrastructures like a high-performance computing. And before I forget, if you are interested in this specialization, we have a European program, a European master, that it's aligned with this. We participate in the EU for HPC. It's the European Master for HPC that it's funded by the European Union. It's it's a reference master in this topic in Europe and was granted by European Union, tried to create a very strong network of people working in high-performance computing. As you know, this is strategic for an organization, and it's the way of the European community to compete with the large supercomputers in the States or China, right? And so if you are interested in HPC, please consider also applying to the master, to this European master. You have the link here. If you are interested, you need to apply to both MIRI and the European one, okay? Because the European one, you can take MIRI here, 1 year of MIRI, and then you go to somewhere in the other partners of this European master. So it means that you need to do 1 year here, 1 year somewhere else. And for doing the 1 year here, you need to be accepted also as a master student here. That's why you also need to apply to MIRI. Then the outcome can be that you are accepted in both places, so you can take 1 year of MIRI here, move somewhere else, and then you get also the European degree. Or if you are only accepted at MIRI, you can take MIRI and that's it, but you cannot take the European. And it can happen the other way around. You are accepted in European, not in MIRI. It means that then you can take the European project, the European master, but then you cannot take one of the years in UPC. Okay, so this is basically the outcomes that you may get from applying from both institutions. But if you get the European one, there is a chance that you also get some funding to support you taking the master. Thesis related to HPC, as you see here, is more about the post-silicon hardware architecture. If we move away from this kind of a specific chemical principles and move to something else, this is related to the European processor that I told you before, the RISC-V. BSc is participating there. Our lecturers in this specialization are also doing research on this aspect, so this is one of the main research topics that they have right now they're working. And the other one, of course, with all the hype around AI, how to create hardware and software aware systems that are able to run very complex AI models. And this is basically the other one that I put here. So this will be the explanation about the 4 specializations. So one thing that I mentioned is that you can participate either in a research group in the university, in a research center like BSc, or you can just go to a company and do your innovation or bring what you learn in a company, right? So there are different ways to do this. One is via a job contract, and this is up to you, but another one is via internships, and you can claim up to 12 ECTS of elective credits, as I said before. For this, we have a website, Convenis de Colaboració Universitat-Empresa, CCE in our jargon. And basically, this is how you can set up a conveni, it means an internship between a company, a research institution, and the university. When doing so, you need to sign an academic program that you will follow while being in the company, right? And this is signed by the company, someone from the university acting as a lecturer taking care of this internship, and yourself. And basically there is an agreement of the tasks that you will be doing at the company. And this is important because they need to be aligned with your studies, right? The second important thing to know about the internships is that all of them need to be paid. We do not accept internships that are not paid. And this is important especially for students that are not from FIB, because if you are from FIB, you already know this from our bachelor, but there are people who come from other universities or other countries that sometimes they were doing internships for free. This is something that is not in our regulations, and we will not accept. Okay, but as I always say, don't worry about that, because the companies, the research centers know the quality of our students. They've been signing hundreds of these kind of internships per year. They don't have any problem to pay what is peanuts for them for the value that they get from our students. So don't worry about this aspect, but be sure that whenever you negotiate with a company to do an internship, it needs to be paid. The regulations are here, and you can just double check. So once you have signed it, you can just claim what we call curricular practices. Curricular practices, it means that after doing your internship, you want to claim ECTS out of it. So you can claim between 6 to 12. So minimum 6, maximum 12. So it means that you cannot claim less than 6, you cannot claim more than 12, okay? And to claim the ECTS, the rule is here. 30 hours of work in the company is one ECTS. So this is the rule, just to know that if the tasks that you signed to do in the company are aligned with the topics of the master, then for every 30 hours that you did there, you will get one ECTS. But be aware that you need to do 6 times 30 hours to get the minimum. Okay, below this, you cannot claim ECTS. Besides that, besides the elective ECTS that you can claim, you can also do the master thesis and an internship in a company or a research center. This is what in our jargon called modality B or D. Modality B is when the company or research center is in Barcelona or is in Spain. D is when you are moving to a foreign company, but it's the same, just if it's here, local or international. So when you do the master thesis in a company, it's the same. It's considered curricular because the job that you are doing in the company at the end, if you succeed, will be claimed as 30 ECTS from the master thesis. There is a maximum of hours that you can do per year, okay, when doing the master thesis. When doing the internships, it means that you cannot go above 900 hours per year. And if you do the master thesis, there are an additional number of 450, okay? On top of that, if you don't do an internship, you already have a job contract, you still can claim elective ECTS up to 12 again, and via a work contract that you did because you already have a job. If so, you can do it with a job before starting the studies or during the studies, okay? And the rule is here, 1600 hours account for 6 ECTS and from there proportionally. Another important or interesting aspect that FIP is going to provide for you, and one of our strengths, is mobility. So right now we have agreements with 205 universities in 42 different countries, so there are plenty of options to move away. And internationalization is important or very interesting also if you are doing a research-oriented master like MIRI. Why is that? Because it allows you to go to another research group, and many of our research groups here, they have collaborations going on with research groups somewhere in Europe or the world, and then it's a good opportunity to move there. You already experience mobility, you experience internationalization, do the master thesis with them, research-oriented, and it's a nice way to introduce yourself into research. When doing so, be aware that it's something that, especially if you are going to do a PhD afterwards, is going to be very much appreciated for whoever is going to evaluate your PhD candidacy later. Because research nowadays is very international. You need to show that you are able to work with other kind of cultures or different groups besides yours. And when you do mobility and internationalization, somehow you are showing to others that you are able to be flexible and adapt and be successful in another environment besides the one you grew up, and then that you can be successful and be flexible in other environments, which is essential in nowadays research. So when doing mobility for MIRI, you can go either 30 ECTS, that could be the third semester of courses or the master thesis alone, or just leave the complete year and then do 60 ECTS abroad, which would be 30 of courses plus the 30 of the master thesis. There are many frameworks to do mobility. We have the CERN, we have the Erasmus+, many of them also specific with Latin America, States, Canada, specific with Japan, 2 of them with China, and also options with double degree that I will explain in a few seconds. Also, there are options to move away to do the master thesis in a company or an organization, what I called before modality D in the master thesis. And there are specific calls for this, okay, to move to a company or a research center somewhere else where you are just doing your master thesis abroad, like modality D. In this case, we are pretty successful. We are promoting and finding very interesting options for our students. And what we found is that last year, for example, we had a record of applications, requests of our students, more than 200, between bachelor and master students to move during this academic year. So this shows the interestingness of the options that we have on the table. So these are the 2 double degrees that I'm going to discuss now that you can take with MIRI. The first one is the Politecnico di Torino in Italy, And the first thing I need to explain is what is a double degree. A double degree is a mobility. You go to this other university to spend some time there, but the difference with a regular mobility is that besides doing a semester, doing your courses there, or your master thesis, coming back and incorporating these courses in your degree and your transcript and just getting MIRI as a degree, the double degree is that besides moving there, the other university also recognizes the credits that you have done at UPC during your first year, and then at the end, when you finish everything, you get 2 degrees. The degree from MIRI and the degree from Politecnico di Torino in this case. Okay, so you get 2 masters, 2 diplomas instead of 1. This is the difference of a double degree with regard to any other regular mobility. So double degrees are longer, typically, because you need to do all the mandatory courses in both places. So in this case, as you can see here, you need to do the first year of MIRI here, the complete first year. You need to finalize all the mandatory courses plus 6 ECTS of elective courses at your choice. And then you need to move to Torino, do the second year of their master there. There are 2 options, depending on the courses you choose. You may get one orientamiento, which means an specialization in Italian. And basically, with only 60 ECTS there, it means a regular mobility, you can get a double degree. So it's only in 2 years, you get the 2 degrees. This is what we would say a perfectly fitting double degree, no? Because Torino is recognizing our first year, we are recognizing their second year. In just 2 years, you get the 2 degrees. The other option is with Georgia Tech in the States. So basically, you need to do 1 year here and then move to Georgia Tech for the second year. Georgia Tech is in Europe, in Metz, but also the headquarters in Atlanta. The agreement that we have is that to spend the first semester of the mobility in France, in Metz, in the Georgia Tech Europe, and the second one in Atlanta. Okay, so there is just this mobility option. And then the other one that we don't have yet a website, but we signed recently, is Illinois. Illinois University, we have an agreement with them, which is very similar to Georgia Tech. You can also do mobility there with the same conditions that are here, but it's not still in the website because it's not closed. So for mobility, the only bad news is that there are a lot of red tape. It's quite bureaucratic, so you need to follow all the instructions here. That's why our website, there is plenty of information, so just to let you know what you need to do, if you just click on this outgoing button here in our website, you will find all the information I was just mentioning here. Also, we have information sessions, especially for the students who want to do mobility. If you want to do mobility, be very aware of this and follow the mobility sessions. Next year, there will be 2 like this year, and you have the dates here, always 1 in November, 1 in February, because this is the deadline of most of the frameworks for mobility. So be aware of them, go there, and they will tell you how to apply, what is the bureaucracy you need to follow, and so on and so forth. But you apply 1 year in advance, basically. You apply during the course at the semester, first semester or second semester of 25-26 to go the next year in mobility. Okay, and we also have a dedicated group of people working on mobility, so you can reach us in this email if you have any question specific of mobility. So after presenting MIRI, that was the main part of the presentation. I will focus on the enrollment. In case you are interested in applying to MIRI, there is this process of 6 steps. You have, if you follow this link, you will find videos and a lot of materials provided by UPC to follow this, because if you apply to any UPC master, it's the same procedure for all of them. So the first one is, when you start, you need to register, enter your personal academic details. You need to enter all of them all. And then when all this information is given, you pay 30 euros as a pre-enrollment fee. Whenever you pay this fee, your application reaches the committee that is going to assess it. Then we have 2 dates that I will explain in a few minutes to evaluate all the admissions that we received. And then, of course, there is an outcome. You need to check your outcome. If you are accepted, you need to explicitly accept it. It means that you need to go to the system and say that you are going to follow the studies, and to book the place that has been assigned to you, you need to pay in advance 300 euro. Whenever you enroll, this is the sixth step, these 300 euro are deducted from the enrollment. So it's not that you are losing these 300 euro, you are simply advancing them. What is the reason and the rationale behind this? The reason is that our masters have a big demand. So what happens typically is that besides the students that they start the master this year, there are some people in the waiting list that didn't get a slot, but still they could follow the master. They have the right background, simply we don't have enough seats for everybody. So if this happens and someone declines the seat that was assigned to this person, we are able to move it to the next one in the waiting list. And this is important for us because, as we said, we are a public university. There is a social commitment behind what we do here. So it's a waste of resources if there is a seat that is lost and nobody is taking it. So that's why we ask everybody to explicitly say, yes, I want to follow the master, pay the advance of the money just to show commitment, so that in case someone declines, we can move the waiting list. That's the rationale behind all this. So the dates that I mentioned before, you can apply between the 24th of February till the 21st of May, and there are 2 admission periods. One has already passed. For those of you, if any, applied before the 4th of April, you already were notified if you are in the master or not. For those of you applying later, till the deadline, the notification will arrive by the 15th of June. Okay. In case that some places are seats are still there, and after June still we didn't meet all the seats that we are offering for MIRI, that this year are 60, then we open a 3rd period at the end of June with deadline in 7th of July. But be careful with this, because in the last years our trend is that all our masters are full. So if you are interested in any of our masters, please be sure to apply before the 21st of May. Also important when preparing the admission, in the mastersfib.upc.edu website that I showed you before, remember that you have information there about how to prepare your admission. And it's important that you realize that there is a motivation letter that needs to be properly describing why you're interested in this master and what are your midterm, long-term objectives, and how this master plays in these objectives that you are setting for yourself. So for pre-enrollment, to start the enrollment procedure, just go to the website that I showed you before, choose the master of your interest, and then just scroll to the bottom. Here you will just find this button, pre-enrollment. Clicking this button takes you to the first step of the enrollment procedure. And here it will take you to a website where you will need to enter your personal and academic details. Be sure that when you reach to this website, you enter all the information that is required there, because if you do not provide absolutely all the fields, the button to pay the tax and move to the second step will not appear. And the only reason is that you didn't provide all the information required, okay? So prices, we are a public university, so the prices are set by the government. This is always set in July. So for 25-26, we will know the prices in July. Just as a baseline, the prices that the students are paying nowadays are these ones here. Basically is 27 euro and something if you are from the European Union, 102 euros per ECTS if you are from abroad. These prices likely are not going to change for next year. So in July, what we are expecting is that these prices stay the same. So finally, information. If you have any information about any academic, any administrative procedure of the application, I don't know what document I need to upload for showing whatever. I'm not sure if this document I have meets the criteria that is required for another document. Contact us at FIP Infomasters. And if you have academic questions, this is more related about you being concerned about what kind of research groups, research opportunities, academic outcomes that you will get from the studies, please contact the academic coordinators. You have the 4 of each of a specialization here, so just follow them. The websites that I told you before, and also the academic calendars that you can just take as a basis, the ones of this year for next year, because they are, roughly speaking, very similar. There is an exam period, there are 2 semesters with some days in the between, so on and so forth. And finally, we have specific grants that are for our students. As I told you, our masters are very well reputed among companies and research labs. So what happens is that many of these research labs or companies propose grants specific for our students. We always publish them in this link here. This is from the last year, so it's not updated because we update this. We put all this information here in July, so after the admission. So whenever all the masters have all the full list of admissions, we make the grants public and just check them in case that you are interested. Typically, we have more grants that we really give away, so there are some of them that are lost, so consider them if you are interested. The thing is that some of them, especially the ones given by companies, require that you do the internship with them, but just read the small letters in the grant description and see if it's interesting for you or not. And finally, before opening the questions, some questions that I may foresee, so I will try to answer them in advance. So what happens if you are an undergraduate student that you didn't finish your bachelor yet, but you want to apply to MIRI? So the thing is that you can apply. Just provide the transcripts that you have at the moment. You obviously will not be able to provide your the degree itself, but just let us know what is your situation. If you are going to finish before the first enrollment, which is in July, by the beginning of July, then it's fine, okay? Just upload whatever you have there, and if you are accepted, you will be conditionally accepted to the fact that you finish your bachelor. But there are a lot of casuistics here that are interesting to let you know that in case that, for example, you are a UPC student applying to a UPC master, you can start the master without really finishing the bachelor. You can miss the bachelor thesis and up to 9 ECTS and still be able to start the master. This is according to the current regulations. So if you are in this situation that you are not set to finish by July, please contact us in FIP InfoMasters and tell us your specific situation. So the rule of thumb is that by October you should be finished with your bachelor, okay? So all the documentation should be there, except in case you are a UPC student, as I said before. And then if you miss the first enrollment, which is in July, because you are still finishing your bachelor, please let us know, because there are some settings that we need to organize internally. Still is doable, but it's important that you are in contact with us to let us know the situation, so we will inform you exactly how to proceed. The second typical question is if you can work and study at the same time, and of course this can be done, and as you saw, we are already providing internships to our companies through the university, and these internships are quite trendy. Many of our master students are working or participating in research groups already doing the master, so this is perfectly fine. And indeed, you can take the master part-time. So the first time you enroll for first time in any of our masters, the system asks if you want to follow the master full-time or part-time. If you follow it part-time, it means that at most per semester you can follow 18 ECTS. That's fine. You will take more than 2 years to finish. Just be aware that there is some regulations that say what is the maximum number of semesters that you can take to finish MIRI. Be aware of this and then organize yourself your time to finish on the master while working, and that's fine. Many times you also ask, if I'm a foreigner student that just came to do MIRI, can I do mobility or sign internships? And absolutely yes. So at the moment that you are a UPC student, you are a UPC student at all effects. And as such, with your visa of a student, you can just sign internships or do mobility. This is perfectly fine. This is part of your rights as a student, and you will have them. And also for new incoming students, as I mentioned, our enrollment is in July. So what happens if someone, I don't know, from the States is accepted in the program, this person needs to come here in July to do the enrollment. Luckily, no, you can do it online. And the first semester typically is mandatory courses, so it's very straightforward to do the enrollment. You just get information about how to do it online. You get online to a certain website that we will tell you at a certain time, enroll, pay the enrollment, and that's it. Okay, so you don't really need to come face-to-face to do the enrollment. And with this, I'm done with my presentation. We will open now the questions period. So the chat is active now. Please write your questions in the chat. And as soon as we have questions in the chat, I will just read them aloud and I will provide the answers. So please consider writing them down in case you have questions. So we have our first question. Manuel is asking, what are the class times, morning, afternoon, especially related to the part-time enrollment? So the good thing about our university is that we have all the information online. So if you go to our faculty website, which is fib.epc.edu, and just go to the studies and you go to MIRI, you will see that the timetables are here, so you can see them. So in general, MIRI is in the mornings, okay? But depends on specifically elective courses might be in the afternoon. But the thing is that if you go here, you see the mandatory courses that are offered, you see is basically in the mornings. But then from the specializations, you need to, depending on the specialization, you need to consider also the mandatory courses. Basically, the mandatory courses are typically in the mornings for MIRI, so afternoons are free to do the part-time job. The only exception is if you go for electives, that it may happen that some of them, well, the electives are here in the specializations there, sorry. So this is that general specializations and the general elective, sorry. So you can see here what is the schedule that you may have or how it works. You have it here for the current semester, and also you have the information of when the exams take. So there is a lot of information in our websites. Basically everything is online, so you can just double check and see if it fits your schedule, Manuel. So the second question is from Aftab, is in the pre-enrollment. There is a question about my orientation, if it's research or professional, and I have to choose one. What does it exactly mean? This is just for serving purposes from UPC, so there is no effect at all in your acceptance in the master, whatever you choose here. It's just to know if after doing this master you are thinking of doing a PhD or going to a company or a research lab. That's it. Anna Maria is asking, I would like to know what is most valued when applying to the program. Also, what is expected to be stated in the motivation letter. So let me just then go here to the website, and if you take any of them, for example, high performance computing, if you go to the admission, here you have the criteria that is going to be considered. You see the academic information. So here what we take into account is the marks of your bachelor and the university where you take it, because obviously there are universities with good reputation and good academic performances. The second is the background and professional experience. Have you already started doing something in this field? Basically what we check here when checking the background and professional experience is this person really interested in this field, is eager to learn more, has already been exploring and doing things because this is really the passion that this person has. So here we check this kind of stuff here. And finally, the motivation letter. For the motivation letter, what we consider basically is this. If you know what you are applying to, right? So if you know what kind of master it is, what kind of outcomes you are going to get, why you are going to use this, and how you are going to use this for your midterm and long term, for a PhD, for participating in a research lab, for going for a video games company, I don't know. What we want to show here is that we really are accepting genuinely motivated individuals. So marks are important, your background is important, but it's also very important for us that at the master level, people are really interested in improving their CV in a certain way and with a clear objective, no? Because when you are taking a master, your objectives are different than just taking a bachelor. A master is something else. You are preparing for your professional activity, right? So we show the maturity of the student that is applying there and how aware this person is. David is asking, I've got a question about the seminar activities. Who do they work? Is it just a one-time thing, or is it like a class every week? No, it's not. The seminars are, we have a website where we publish all the seminars that we are offering during the semester, and they appear there For example, when we had the Mobile World Congress, attending a Mobile World Congress was a seminar. So you could just go there, spend time in the Mobile World Congress as a UPC student, because there was a way to enter the Mobile World Congress as a student, and then you got credits from it after attending. Another thing is, I don't know, seminars offered by the Barcelona Supercomputing Center, or a course taught by a visiting professor that is visiting one of the research groups and is giving a lecture to our students during a week. They are not regular courses, are events that are organized during 1 week, 2 weeks, regularly typically, that you need to enroll separately. So you need to register and then take it, get a mark, and as soon as you get the mark, is recognized as one of the seminars of the course. So to know if an event is accepted as a seminar of the master or not, we have a website, and in this website we list all the events that are considered for series. So it's just a matter that you go from time to time there, and from the very semester, very first semester, you start taking them, because at the end of the 2 years, you will need to account for 6 ECTS from these seminars to recognize this course. Then Aftab is asking, is there a minimum grade for the acceptance in MIRI? There is no minimum grade, but of course the bachelor degree mark is important. So very low marks which show that maybe this person was struggling, and just be aware that our masters are quite in a high demand, and we always will prioritize people that we know they will be able to follow our master, because the master has some complexity from this point of view, and it might be difficult if you are not have a good foundations or a strong background in your bachelor. Victor is asking, if I had not finished my bachelor degree yet, I still have to pre-enroll now, right? I should not wait until some later window. No, you need to start now, Victor. So start the procedure. As soon as you need to upload your transcripts, upload the transcripts of all the courses you have with a mark up to now. For the degree, you will not be able to upload the degree, but just upload a document specifying what is your situation, or contact FIP Infomasters if you have doubts how to meet any of the documents you need to upload. But basically, you need to apply right now. Okay, don't wait. Sam is asking, hello, was wondering, are there 60 slots evenly split among the specializations, or how many students are typically in each specialization? There are specializations that are more in demand than others. This is the reality. So we try to leverage the demand with the seats. So this is one master. At the end, all of you are going to get the MIRI degree with a certain specialization or another, but the degree is MIRI. So the 60 seats are for the whole MIRI. So basically, we dynamically take into account the number of seats that we assign to every specialization depending on the demand. For example, the specialization now with the highest demand is high performance computing. So this is our largest specialization currently in MIRI. But it depends a lot on the demand that we have and how it behaves. It depends on people at the end that are applying. More questions? Hi, if I enroll part-time, can I enroll in more than 3 subjects, or is 3 the maximum? So you can enroll at most in 3 courses of 6 ECTS, because the maximum as a part-time student is 18 ECTS. So this means 3 courses of 6 ECTS per semester. More questions? Last minute question. Okay, so let's conclude here then. So thank you everybody for attending, and thank you for your interest in our master. So please feel free to contact us if you have any trouble when doing the enrollment and following the steps, or if your specific case has some specific thing to discuss, please reach us through the emails, and hope to see you next year as a FIP student. So all the best for all of you, and thank you for attending. Bye.